Just going through a quick little wrist maintenance series. So just basically a series of key functions of the wrist we can do really anywhere, tabletop, floor, any number of ways that we can do it. Very quickly, we're going to be starting with our fingers pointing back this way towards us. Now, with this stretch, the further back we are, the easier it is going to be. The further forward we are, the harder it is going to be. And that's based on the angle of extension that we're putting the wrist into. Flexion, rather. So what we're going to do from here, rocking back into that stretch, I'm actively squeezing my fingers gently into the floor while I do this, and rocking forward. Squeezing my fingers into the floor, just to really get that stretch, keeping the elbows straight, and relaxing. Now, as I said before, much easier if we're back here, but we do want to make sure that the mobility is a challenge. So you would start quite far back and then gradually work your way forward as you go. Now, a second one is the opposite. So our fingers are going to be pointed forwards, but the further away it is, the easier it is. The further back it is, the harder it is. So what we're going to be doing here, rocking forward, stretching, pushing the heel of the hand down to the floor, squeezing the fingers gently, and coming back. Now, something we can do to modify this, because this will typically hit more on the pinky side of the hand, is we can then turn the hands in. And it just alters the angle a little bit. Does not have to be as extreme as I just have. In fact, I probably rotated too much there. I did, because that's working much better. By the same token, you can also turn the other way in order to facilitate that stretch in a slightly different area. Now, the next ones are the knuckle positions. So what we've got here, we're going to start with our hands pretty much together, knuckles on the floor, and then we just open the hands and try and get as close as we can to knuckles on, or rather wrists on the floor. Little bit of weight bearing through the hand and then return. A little bit of weight bearing through the hand and then return. If we find that quite easy, we bring the hands further apart. The further apart the hands are, the more challenging this position is going to be on the wrist. Now, if that is still too challenging, we can actually bring that hand across and allow it to sink one arm at a time. Now, that is if we are severely restricted, and we'd be working then towards bringing it to that position where we can do both at the same time. And the last one is our lateral wrist roll, or you can think of it as the thumb-pinky wrist roll. So we're going to keep a closed fist, so we don't want our thumbs out like this, or we will strain them. We're just going to have the hands in front there, and we're basically going to roll our wrist forward, putting a little bit of weight and pressure through the hands as much as we can tolerate reasonably without pain, getting that stretch down that side of the forearm, and then rocking back. Same thing in the opposite direction. Now, this side is quite difficult to get, so don't feel bad if you can't. You may need to work on some rotation angles and other things there. But what we've done through this series is basically worked every direction of the wrist in isolation and just made it get that little bit more mobile, a little bit more tolerable of some pretty stressful positions.